The Survivors is brought to you by our friends at Calmary. This podcast mentions suicide, mental illness, grief, and loss, and may be triggering for some listeners. So please take care of your well-being by pausing or skipping any sections that feel uncomfortable to you. And if you or someone you know is struggling, please call 988 for support. So why do these conversations matter? Why is it even important to talk about the shit that's going on in our heads around suicide or mental illness? It's an obligation. We have to talk about it. Why? Because we have to, because it's the only way that we change the narrative on things like suicide and mental illness, the stuff that we're taught from the beginning of time that we're not supposed to talk about, right?
Well, none of us were taught this in school. None of us were taught in school how to manage our emotions or even talk about our emotions, unless it was happy or sad. But we never talked about suicide. We never talked about mental health. We never talked about our emotions other than happy, sad. But now it's more important than ever. People are going through a lot just in day to day, but what's happening around us is bad. And the more we don't talk about it, and the more we just keep it to ourselves, the worse that it gets. And where these conversations matter, especially to me, being a suicide attempt survivor, it makes people understand what's going on. It gives us an outlet, right? It's okay. When I was dealing with my stuff by myself, in the early days, I would just write it down and, do an occasional social media post. But having these face-to-face conversations, and these are conversations you should be having, if you can, face-to-face. It's okay to do them conversations via text or through an email, but if you could pick up the phone and talk to somebody, or if you are out with them as friends, having a coffee date or anything, it brings everything to light.
And I think when one person starts talking, it encourages another and it encourages another. I think about our friend Anderson Cooper out there on his podcast, All There Is, just what this one human being has done to kind of globally give people permission to have the hard conversations. Think of all the people who are talking about it now because someone like that is talking about grief and loss. That's the whole point, because we get so stuck in the thought loops in our heads. And I've talked about thought loops plenty of times, that they're so isolating. And it's the same thing that's going on in our heads yesterday is the same thing that's going on today, is the same thing that's going to be going on a week from now if we don't bring in other perspectives, if we don't have a bigger global conversation about just the things that we're all dealing with. The irony of all of it, kills me.
What kills you?
Thanks for asking. It kills me that we're all going through the same kinds of shit, just in a different head. And,
yes.
and that's the irony, that we all experience grief. We all experience loss. We all experience sadness. We all experience hopelessness at some points. A lot of us experience depression and loss. And we're all out here dealing with the same stuff, and yet nobody's talking about it in the public.
For sure. And I think that even sometimes, in our friend groups, we don't talk about it because we don't want to be judged.
Right.
But what I tell you, you might be going through something similar, and we can feed off that energy and hopefully take whatever negativeness or sadness or whatever is going on in our own heads, and we can turn that table and make it a conversation about joy. But finding the happiness even in the crappiest of moments. I can use an example. When my mom passed away, my oldest cousin, she was bossing us around. It was right after we buried my mom, and turned to her and it's who made you boss? And we just all started laughing because my mom was the oldest of four. So we turned that really sad moment to some angst, but we all kind of laughed about it after that. But it's amazing how laughter can help even the crappiest of things seem okay to talk about.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why I think in a previous episode, we were joking around about something and really laughing about something. I can't remember what it was, but we were laughing about something in the context of suicide loss. It's if it wasn't taboo enough to be talking about suicide, how dare you even make light of anything? And I'm not making light of anything. We're not joking about the thing. We're joking about the madness of all of it, where it's this notion that we all have to arrive in this place of understanding that we can balance grief and joy. Those things can coexist. forget it. Throw in the towel now. Just check out now if you're not willing to live in a world where grief and joy exist, because that's what everybody's goal should be, because every single one of us has to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single person out there that hasn't dealt with some type of grief, like a loss of a parent, loss of a child, a loss of a friend, a loss of a job, any type of loss. There's so much grief, but the more we talk about that, easier it is to have those conversations. Giving people permission to talk about it. Like, don't sweep these conversations under the rug. And for me, I didn't talk about it for 3 months. And it ate away at me and ate away at me and ate away at me. And it made the situation worse. In my defense, though, I didn't know how to talk about it and how to even bring it up. So I think, like, if you have a friend or a significant other or a parent, like, have those conversations. Just start. Like, it could be word vomit, and it may not even sound, like you may not be able to form that full sentence, but just let people know where you're at.
Just say you're not okay. Just say I'm not okay, and I really don't even know if I can express it, but I need you to know that I'm not okay. And then maybe that's all it takes. Maybe that's all it takes. And then somebody who's hearing that receives it and they hold space for it. And they say, okay, I get that you're in this place, and I get that you can't really articulate it right now because you're so overwhelmed. So let me ask you some questions. Like, maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's the dialogue that happens. And somebody all of a sudden asks the question, whatever that question is, that unlocks everything. And I just think it's this such incredible power in having these conversations, because it is so isolating. There's so many things that we go through. We all go through them. And we talked about some of them, grief, loss, and that kind of thing. But like parenting, for instance, like being a new parent, like that's hella isolating. Like, I remember having 2 little kids at home, and I was like, shit, like, I'm by myself every day. Dave is traveling. You're kind of isolated in your own world. And it's only when you get out there, you just like start talking to other moms or start talking to other dads. And you realize, like, oh man, like, we're all struggling over the same thing. And there's a freedom in that. There's a liberation in that. And mental health works the same way, because then all of a sudden, maybe you come across somebody who's dealing with the same kind of thing that you're dealing with, and maybe they're doing something a little different, and you've never tried it. You don't know about the thing that they're doing. And then all of a sudden you have a conversation. You're like, really? Think that worked for you? You're kidding. And then you internalize that, and you're like, well, if it worked for them, maybe I'll try it. And then it's like just like a domino effect, I think.
And I think what's really powerful in the conversation is that you can actually feed off of each other. You feed off of energy. So let's say you're super down in the dumps, but your friend is super energetic and happy, and you can be the person. I'll just use myself as an example, but being in the same space as those people, that energy like bounced back to me, helped me kind of get out of my head a little bit and figure out, wow, something really is wrong. And like, how do I fix it? And having podcasts like this and having resources like Calmery or like the digital age, there's a ton out there. Like, one of the things I started doing early on is, instead of like physically writing down my thoughts, is I would just record it to my phone, because I still had like 8,000 thoughts going on in my head. And I didn't know how to get it out. So I just, word vomit into my phone. And I go back and listen to some of those conversations. I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah, but you know what? But it's an outlet. And I think however you get it out of your head, whether you're meditating it out or you're talking it out or you're journaling it out, whatever it is, try the thing, do the thing. And what works for one may not work for all, but that you're not going to know what else is out there to even try if you're stuck in your own head and you're not expressing the way you're feeling to people, because then you can't even have the conversations to begin with to find out that you're not alone, to find out what else is out there to help you.
For me too, is just also some gratitude. Grateful that I have a place to sleep. Grateful that I have food to eat. Grateful that I have a roof over my head. Being grateful and having gratitude. And that's why conversations like this are also important, because you're grateful for the things that you have. Look at the things that you have. Don't look at the things that you don't have, because you can work towards those things.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad that you said that about gratitude, because that's one of the exercises as a human, like personally in my own personal practice. That's one of the things that I've done for a very, very long time. When I get into a place, we all get into a shitty mood and have a bad day, or
shitty mood.
you've never seen me in a shitty mood, have you?
Thank God.
You will. Give it time. Trust me.
Right.
But when that happens, and it happens to everybody, I actually do this very intentional practice of whether I think of my kids or I think of the fact that my 86-year-old mom and I just went to Japan last year. Like she's, knock on wood, she's still here and doing great. And I think about the things that are the most important to me. And I express that gratitude for those things, whether I do it in a journal or I say it to myself in my head or whatever it is. Because here's the interesting thing about gratitude. It's such an underrated superpower. When you have the ability to be grateful about something, it cancels everything else out. And I'm not talking about indefinitely, but in an isolated moment, when you take gratitude and you immerse yourself in that moment of gratitude, you can't be sad. It's like how you can't, what is it? You can't sneeze with your eyes open. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. It's impossible to be down and sad and hopeless when you are in the process of feeling gratitude, even for a minute or two.
And even if it's only for a few seconds, like it's like baby steps. But the other reason that these conversations are important is that we could actually save somebody's life. If you take that 1 minute, I'm telling you, all it takes is 1 minute to ask someone how they're doing. Kindness goes a long way. You have absolutely zero idea what's going on in somebody else's head. And so if you're a dick to them, they may be having the worst friggin' day of their life. Just be kind. And so reminding people that, kindness and compassion go a long way.
Yeah, they do.
Reminding people that it's okay to say the word suicide, that it's okay that people are depressed, but also giving people like tips or resources they can reach out to get from that next second to the next minute to the next day. And that to me is why these conversations are important.
Take a step to your mental well-being with Calmery, trusted online therapy platform that supports you through life's challenges. Connect with licensed therapists and reap the benefits of traditional therapy enhanced with digital tools whenever you need it. Visit Calmery.com to get started.
Right. Because otherwise we're all just stuck in our own little endless thought loops and nothing new is coming in to impact those thoughts and those feelings. And then the depression or the anxiety or whatever the negativity is that you're feeling, and you're trapped. You're only free when you allow yourself to express those things and acknowledge, like sit in it, be vulnerable and be like, I'm terrible right now. I'm not okay. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. You're not going to find help if people don't know you're hurting. I mean, I look no further than my own dad. I always use my father as an example because, for those who don't know my story, I lost my father when I was 10 years old. He died of what I was told was a heart attack very suddenly. And I did not learn the truth of my father's death until I was 45 years old. So for 35 years, I thought he had died of a heart attack, but he actually had taken his own life. He would never have known that my father was struggling. He was like one of those people you talk about him all the time. The people who are the extroverted, they seem larger than life or super happy and driven and grounded and all the things that you would never suspect. And that was my dad. And it's because he kept it all hidden for a variety of reasons. I'm sure it was 1978 and who the hell was talking about mental illness and not being okay. Nobody was talking about it. So back then, I guess it made sense. But nowadays, you can't fix what you don't know is broken.
100%. And
that's it. Like that's it. If we said nothing else more about it, we could end the episode right there and say, if we don't know it's broken, we can't help you fix it.
Well, you know what? I'm guilty of that because absolutely nobody knew how depressed I was until after I made that call to 988. And yes, maybe there were some signs. Oh, I know for sure there were signs because I've talked in another episode where when I was writing my book, number one, it was super cathartic. But number two, I learned some things that other people should have picked up on. But the onus kind of comes on me to even open my mouth. And I couldn't do that until I talked to 988 because then I could figure out what the hell was going on. Instead, so fast forward to November of last year when things weren't so good anymore.
Until I came into your life.
Until you came into my life and the 2 years of therapy, or year and a half of therapy, knowing that my voice matters and letting people know exactly where I stood. And like I had told you before, I couldn't hide my resting bitch face anymore. So once I started opening up, it was absolutely freeing. It was like a weighted x-ray blanket getting torn off my shoulders. Giving voice to suicide is huge. And giving voice to awareness and giving voice to like things that you can do as a caregiver, a friend, a spouse, colleague, like things to look out for and how you can help somebody like me.
It's all about holding space. I mean, talk about this all the time, that holding space is an art form, but it's also unbelievably easy. It's just a glorified way of saying, listening to what's on somebody's mind. Just let the person say what they need to say and validate it no matter what it sounds like, what it seems like, because what might seem impossible to someone going through it, like when you're in it and whatever it is all around you and all consuming, somebody else might hear that and be like, really? Like, that's what's got you twisted? Like, that's your issue? But it's all relative. What's terrible for you might not be so terrible for me, and vice versa. But it's when we talk about it and we attach words to it and names to it and feelings to these things that they become real. And when you hold space for someone, it doesn't matter what they say, you just hold space for it, you accept it, you validate it, you listen without judgment. I mean, it can save somebody's life. Like, that's why we talk about it, because it can save somebody's life. So for those who don't know, one of the things that I do in the world, I'm a crisis counselor with the Trevor Project, and Trevor Project is a suicide and crisis hotline for at-risk LGBTQ youth ages 13 to 24. And did you know that the statistic, and since you and I are both part of the queer community, this is very relevant to us and anyone else who's listening from the queer community, one singular person, if you are a person who's struggling and one singular person in your life is there to listen to you, do you know that it reduces your risk of taking your own life by over 40%?
Did not know that.
By having one person be there to listen to you. So this is why we say what's on our minds and why we have the conversations.
And for me, it's me taking on a brave new role. Also, like, I took all my pain and 2.5 years of therapy and I turned it into purpose. I don't want anybody to ever feel as terrified and alone as I did in my own journey, because it's like 59.5 when all the shit went down. I didn't know how to do it. Now I have a voice and I want to give these conversations a voice. So if you're feeling that way, like, how do you approach somebody? My first thought was to call 988. I just needed somebody that kind of knew what was going on in my head. Having had that conversation helped me to go out and have a conversation with my wife. And this is somebody I've been together with for, at the time, 20 years. So that's a tough conversation. To admit that you're broken is
terrifying.
I was absolutely broken. I'm better. I'm like not 1,000 times better. I still go to therapy, but I still want to have these conversations and be open and honest about them. And if I'm having a shitty day, people know now. I don't hold back anymore.
Hold back. And nobody should hold back. Like, I think people too are afraid of being the asshole who's always in a bad mood or always got something wrong or struggling with something like that. No, there are a lot of people out there who don't want to be a burden. They don't want to be perceived as weak. They don't want to be the one who's always got the issue. But the fella, look, just drop that right now. Just like let go of that right now, because it's bullshit. Be whoever you are, be however you feel, because and this is important, the way that you feel right now is not the way that you're always going to feel. And you pointing at you right there, you are the perfect person to validate that, because you were at your lowest point in your life, didn't see any way around it and didn't see any way through it and didn't know how to help yourself and never imagined that there was another side to it. You were like so in the weeds that you couldn't see anything, except there was another side. And it didn't emerge right away. It wasn't like all of a sudden the parting of the Red Sea and you just cruised on through. It was like you were bushwhacking through it for a long time. But the point is, look, forward motion is still forward motion. It's like the marathoner who runs the 6-minute mile and the one who runs the 12-minute mile. They're still going to get there. They're still going to finish the same race. It's just a different pace. That's what mental health is. You know, you're walking your own walk and you're doing it at your own pace.
And, don't feel, for me, like I was ashamed of the way I felt. Don't feel ashamed for the way that you feel. We're humans, and mental illness, it doesn't joke around. Like, it will come back and like kick you in the ass 47 times. But it's all in how you approach it and being honest with yourself. I think the one thing that helped me the most was to stop the negative talk to myself. Instead of calling myself an asshole every day, I got to a better place. Like, I am a good person. You reap what you sow. You've got these amazing accolades. It's taking it in little pieces, because that all builds up and you're like, you know what? I am a good person. My head is missing.
Positive affirmations. Look, at the end of the day, we're all a work in progress. It's that simple. We're all a work in progress, number one. Number two, we all have shit. And number three, nobody's perfect. So when you start there, which is kind of where every single one of us starts, I don't care how accomplished we are. I don't care where you live, what you drive, how much money is in the bank. None of those things matter. None of those things matter. Mental health is an equal opportunity kind of a situation. Yeah, it is, but it's true. It doesn't discriminate. Doesn't matter who you are. And the most important thing is to focus as much on the fact that you're allowed to feel that way as that you're focusing on that there is another side of it. You have to give yourself permission to sit in it. Everybody tries to, let's fix it. Let's find the root cause, do the therapy, take the pill, have the treatment, get to the other side of it. And yeah, okay, that's great. That's what everybody wants to do. But the fact is, it's like a process and it doesn't happen overnight. And forward motion is still forward motion.
It took me 5 months to feel okay with where I was. And it was a hard 5 months. But as crazy as it sounds, I'm thankful that I went through it. And I'm thankful for that little glimmer. There's always a little glimmer. Listen to the little glimmer.
Yeah.
I'm here today because of that glimmer. That's why I ended up calling 988. I had a glimmer of hope that things were going to get better. And they did.
And, look, like speaking realistically, it takes time. It takes work. It takes effort. But there is another side to it. And that's the thing that most people just don't want to see, can't see when you're in the thick of it. And that's why talking about it with other people can help to flesh that out, can help you to shift your mindset. Because when you're locked in your own headspace, you're only hearing one voice. When you start talking and having the conversations and asking the questions and really opening up, then you realize, like, oh, okay, it's not just me. People have survived this kind of thing before. How did you do it? What did you do? Where did you go? What helped for you? And I think it kind of snowballs in a good way from there. But we have to just be willing to accept all sides of it. And part of it is sitting in it,
Sitting in it and building a community, and just be kind. Be kind to yourself. Listen, we're all messy. Just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, we all need to give ourselves, I think, a lot more grace than we do, because we deserve it. We really do deserve it. We're just human beings and we're fallible and we're all trying to navigate the same kinds of things. It only makes sense that we try and do it leaning into each other for help and support. Otherwise, we'd all be living on our own little planet by ourselves. That's not how it works. We're here for a reason, together for a reason.
Come on, man. I want to go live on Uranus.
Ruin the whole show. For some people, that made the whole show.
It did.
That was good.
But I'm super excited. I can't wait to chat with you next week.
I know. Me too. I kind of want to just keep going, but we should probably stop and then come back. Get some water and hydrate.
All right. See y'all next week.
Love you, Jay.
Love you. Thanks for joining us on The Survivors. Remember, no matter how tough things feel, you are enough. And the world needs you just the way you are. You're not alone in this journey. There's a community here, and every step forward counts. We're so grateful you took the time to listen, and we hope you'll take one day at a time. Just know there's always more light ahead.
Thanks for being here, friends. Just remember, help is out there in so many different places. So if you or someone you know is struggling, please call 988, and a trained crisis counselor like me will be there to help. You can also find an inclusive and comprehensive directory of mental health resources, tools, and content at thehelphub.co. Just remember that help is always just a call or a click away. We'll catch you next week. In the meantime, keep surviving.